Now, let's move on to the IRS kicking ass. The tax police are out, baby.
Yep.
The tax police are kicking down doors and coming after all those millionaire and billionaire tax cheats. So far this year, the IRS has pulled $520 million from millionaire households. This is about, I think, like 1,000 households.
Yeah.
1,000 people were skipping out on $520 million. If you want law and order, Joe Biden is your man. If you want law and order, the Democrat Party is the law and order party, because we are the ones who busted down the doors and got this money from the people who stole it from you. Okay? So, which I just fucking love that. So why am I saying the Democrats did this? Well, they, in the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, they authorized $80 billion for the IRS. This is the and this $80 billion would be dispersed to the IRS in the course of a decade. So more than half of the money was earmarked to revive flagging enforcement of corporations, partnerships, and rich households. This is just giving the cops the money they need to go after criminals. That's all we're doing here, guys. Mm-hmm. There's no like scheme to go out and get you, and the IRS isn't coming for those small potatoes tax issues where you're accidentally claiming the earned income tax credit when you're not supposed to claim that tax credit. Specifically, the Treasury Department in the Biden administration has specified that they will not be increasing audit rates for people making under $400,000, which, you know, if that's where you're going to be at, who is against going after the taxes that are justly paid by people making more than 400 grand?
Yeah, it's a hard argument.
Right. I have no sympathy for you. I don't know what you want me to tell you. Now, the White House has agreed with Republicans to claw back $20 million of that money in the Joe Biden McCarthy Jeffries deal that McCarthy got thrown out of the House of Representatives for, if we remember that fiasco, right? One of the reasons Kevin McCarthy lost his job was because he didn't cut government spending enough. Mm-hmm. And one way in which he was successful was by getting the Biden administration to claw back some IRS money. Well, because Republicans couldn't say yes, that money is still out there planned for disbursement.
Yep.
So a sped up clawback of that $20 billion wouldn't really affect the IRS all that much today. These things were supposed to be like earmarked and allocated for projects 8, 9, 10 years from now.
Yeah.
So our immediate enforcement is only going to be keeping going strong. And it's just really great to see the rich kind of get their own right now.
Yeah, this is something that I would hope can resonate with a really wide base of people. Mm-hmm. Because when I think of populism on the left or the right, it's not just the government that's the enemy, right? It's the rich.
No, it's a monopoly of power, period.
Yeah, which I would think could kind of be conflicting in people's heads, because they're automatically anti-government, but then it's like, oh, but the government is going after these other people who have hoarded all the money, which has made our lives worse. Which quickly, I'm just going to go on a little tangent, reminds me of a recent report that came out, for example, that half of inflation since the end of 2022 has been due to, it's called greedflation, due to profiteering.
That makes you want to start a revolution.
Isn't that crazy? No, it's literally like they charted the producer's price index against the consumer's price index, and the consumer's price index rose at twice the rate of the producer's price index.
Wow, that's crazy.
Isn't that insane? So yeah, like the government is the one that is trying to go after these people who are hoarding all of your money and skimming off every single cent that they can.
And you should be happy about that.
Yeah.
I mean, like let's think back to the George Floyd protests of everyone saying defund the police, mm-hmm. right? There's a lot of issues with the defund the police philosophy. Guess what, guys? The IRS is the fucking police, okay? So all we're doing is funding the police, and the amount of money we get back from that funding is just going to be astronomical.
Yeah,
right?
I think your comparison is pretty flawed.
Why do you think?
Because defunding the police and the general idea of policing crime is more about people's safety.
Okay.
And this is less about it.
I guess there's a difference between white collar crime and standard crime.
I think so.
Right. Okay. But this classifies white collar crime, and I like to see an executive.
It is still crime, of course.
Right. It's still crime.
Yeah.
I like to see an executive branch going after white collar crime at the veracity that it deserves. You know. I feel like
Veracity.
veracity. That's a word.
Veracity?
I don't know.
Voracity?
I don't know, bro. I can't speak English most days.
Yeah.
Veracity. Veracity.
Veracity.
Okay. So I just it makes me happy. I only want this to keep going. I want this to only get more and more enforced.
Mm-hmm.
It's important that we put in perspective that this was opposed by every Republican in the House and Senate. Every Republican was against increasing IRS funding, even though the amount of money we get for each dollar put into the IRS only comes back or twofold because of how much money we're able to get from the increasing our tax enforcement.
Yeah, there's a very unhelpful stigma against the IRS as the tax man,
Yeah.
right? But the fact of the matter is our institutions are going to function better with not only with more money, but with a stronger rule of law in this way, that there isn't a plutocracy starting in this country.
Absolutely.
Right? Where the rich get treated differently from the poor.
Yeah.
And to enforce the laws strictly against the rich, against the people who are most privileged, is the only way we retain a democratic republic.
Definitely. You can't have inequality in the face of the law.
Exactly.